All right. Hi, everybody. VSO Marketing Manager here. I've got Will Wise calling in from Albany along with another special guest. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Honey, want to say hi?
Hi.
This is
Hi.
Anna. She's having a great time, and now it's just gonna be me talking. So say bye bye.
Bye.
There we go.
Bye. All right, Will. What was a typical workday like for you before the pandemic as a professional double reed player?
Well, the majority of my work day is actually devoted to my duties as a member of the faculty at the College of St. Rose in Albany. I just completed my 11th year on the faculty there as the double reads and core curriculum instructor, but I also completed my second year as head of the department. So my days have been very different for the last couple of years, where I'm still teaching. On a typical day, I could teach a class, I could teach a couple of lessons, but I'm also running meetings, sitting in meetings, planning meetings. Writing agendas and keeping the lights on, keeping the department running through whatever needs to be accomplished on a given day. So every day is pretty different, but and every day involves just a little bit of did I remember this, and usually I have remembered.
So I imagine, things have probably changed a great deal for you. What's a typical day like now, during the pandemic?
Well, I can talk about. Well, first I'll talk about after we went remote, which was a real shock to the system for all of us. But we made the transition relatively well. I had to transfer all my teaching and all my teaching and meetings to online. And thankfully, it all seemed to work. I personally didn't have any students melt away. I only heard about a couple of students who didn't complete the year after going remote. So we learned a lot about Zoom and online functionality of our Canvas system, which is our online which is our sort of online class organization system. Made Learned how to make much better use of that, and I found that my teaching had to adjust somewhat. My teaching approach did have to adjust somewhat on for the to accommodate the difference
Mm-hmm.
in the environment that we were dealing with. Some of my students, while they were still attending class, had to attend it what we call asynchronously, so they had to listen to recordings. So I did a lot. So I was doing a lot more individual sessions to work with students to help keep them up to speed. But I was really impressed with both our students and our faculty. They did a tremendous job of handling the transition. All recitals had to be recorded on phones. All juries again had to be submitted as recordings, and the students all stepped up and made it happen within their individual capabilities and their individual technological capabilities. Um, the school year ended last week, and
Congrats, I guess.
thank you. Whole lot of folks graduated graduated online, and it was kind of difficult to watch. Kind of difficult to
Yeah.
see all these seniors who I've known for 4 years saying goodbye virtually, but they all did it, and that was when we were given all of a day's notice to transition. I guess in March it was more like 5 days notice. So 2 days of a week, and then the weekend, and then we were online. Um, my goal was very much that that nobody's graduation be delayed as a result of the transition, and and it looks like we managed to do it. And now our attention turns to the fall, where we don't know if we will be
Mhm.
live or not. Um, so that's how my life has been a little different.
That's a lot.
And I've done
um,
just a little bit of playing. I might mention I'm still an oboe player.
yeah, so I was also going to ask, since you are a professional oboist, if you had to pick one thing, what's something that people might not realize about that job? It's pretty, unfamiliar to most.
Well, I don't know how unfamiliar it is, but oboe players are notorious for our dependence on these things. Is what I'm holding here is an oboe reed. It is not soaked. I don't have my oboe handy, so I'm not prepared to demonstrate it. Um, but our lives are the stereotype is that our lives are ruled by the status of our reeds. So I have a whole bunch of reeds right here. At any given time, I'm adjusting them with my knives and my tools and whatnot. And so the health of my playing is largely dependent on the health of my reeds. And so that's what oboe players are most famous for. Uh,
Right.
but beyond that, um, I know when I was a student, I saw the reed as this barrier to my music making. But as I've gone on as an oboe player, as I've gained experience and as I've lived my life, I really do find that the reeds, for whatever condition they're in, are always a tool for my music making
Uh-huh.
rather than a barrier. So my mindset is kind of adjusted. And sometimes my tools are sharper than others, but they're
Mhm.
still, but the music still comes from me. And that's an important distinction to remember. So whatever my tools are, whatever condition my tools are in, I'm still making that music. Some days more than others.
So
Uh,
everyone, you hear that? If an oboe player can't blame the equipment, you can't blame the equipment either.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. So it's still the player.
yeah. What's the most unusual show you've ever played over the years, if you had to pick one?
Well, there's one gig that stands out in my career that I was debating whether or not I should tell this story to the world.
This will be
But
good.
and I'll try to keep it short. It did end with me spending half the night in the emergency room. So that's the begin. So I'll sort of jump to the end from the middle. This was a really fun gig that happened that I was called to do, where I was playing in an orchestra backing up a Led Zeppelin tribute band, and it was really cool. I didn't know what to expect when I went down there. It was just a single day gig. And I went down there, and the band was cooking. They even kind of this lead singer even kind of resembled 40-year-old Robert Plant. Sounded great, but as the rehearsal was going, I realized I forgot earplugs, and I've got a John Bonham tribute drum set about 15 feet away from my right ear. Well, I'm asking around. I'm seeing, does anybody have earplugs? Nobody had earplugs. And we were partially outdoors. This is the part where I'm debating if I should share. I've got my music clipped to my stand because we're partially outdoors. There's a little bit of wind. I got my music clipped to my stand with a couple of mechanical pencils. I'm looking at the mechanical pencils, realize the eraser comes out. Look at the eraser, and you're way ahead of me.
No.
Uh, mhm. And I just, as soon as I touched it to my ear, I realized it was not coming out. Now the world knows. And so I played the rest of the rehearsal with an eraser in my ear. I went to dinner with everybody. I'm pretty sure nobody knew I had an eraser in my ear, but I knew. Played the concert with an eraser in my ear, and then I Went home, packed my oboe up in my apartment. Then I lived a block from the emergency room, so I spent half the night in the emergency room. Told the doctor what happened, and his question was, "Well, did it help?" Yeah, actually, it kind of did. And at about 2 in the morning, he was able to pop it right back out. And so I was in the emergency room as a not in the third grade with an eraser in my ear. So that's my most unusual gig. It would have been and the concert itself was fun. I even had a solo in Ramble On, I believe.
Thank you for that story.
You're most welcome.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was more recent than I would care to than you're probably thinking. I was not a student. I was in the job I am in now, probably about 8 years ago.
I love that. I'm glad they got it out, but that's a good one. Just to close things out, Will, what's your favorite Ben and Jerry's flavor?
Oh, since I got a kid, I don't buy ice cream by the pint anymore, but I seem to recall being kind of addicted to strawberry cheesecake and or creme brulee.
Nice.
Remember when I got a pint of creme brulee, that pint would not last long. I would tell myself I'm only gonna eat a third of it, gone. So I recommend the creme brulee.
All right. Well, thanks for chatting with me. Definitely might have a nightmare about things getting stuck in my ears tonight. But
yeah, don't stick anything smaller than your elbow in your ear. The doctors are.
All right. Thanks, Will.